Just answering a short question, hopefully with a short answer. It's grammatically odd, so I'm not sure exactly what it says. If the person posting it, who ends in 1998, wants to comment under here specifics of what you're asking, I will answer that better, obviously, but let's get this one out of the way. Did you ever see anything back in the day that was related to anything people like to question about history that you haven't been able to find since? Anything you haven't been able to re-find? Now, it's specifying 9/11, but I'm going to generalize things. Every single event in history that people have decided to bend to whatever pet project or belief system they have, that's one end of it. And on the other end, people just not believing what they're told, which I understand. Every one of those things, when I see something happen, you will see a lot of people doing speculation or just making up BS to post or repeat that you can come up on mainstream news and in newspapers. And this slowly tapers off to people who grumpily mutter the same thing decades later. There's a video recently of somebody muttering crap that was never accurate about the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr., for instance. And yeah, it was Brandon Herrera, and he was wrong. That's it. He was wrong. He also didn't provide citations, and not doing so isn't forgivable. Sorry. But except for I'm going to call them contrarians and stubborn people, the majority of what we know now about things that happened further and further back in time is less questioned. Not because we're a bunch of sheep or whatever. It's because the people bringing up the objections to facts as presented have just kind of just faded away or given up. And in the past, the thing that we don't see anymore that I have trouble finding is these assertions people made that were based on speculation. Examples that are more like what you may be asking, again, this is grammatically complicated here. I see less of people bringing up assertions that they made that turned out to be wrong. That is hard to find. There's some people who are on record as questioning JFK or MLK or 9/11 or whatever, who it's hard to find evidence of what they said. And then last, I'm going to bring up a reasonable example. There's a bunch of people who were interviewed on September 11th as it was happening that requested later that the news stations that recorded them not post it anymore. It happened, post Y2K. There was computers, there was the internet, and it spread. And the only thing about them that's known, outside of their immediate family and friends and associates at work, is there is a recording of them discussing what was happening in front of them and maybe saying something that was odd seeming or it was wrong. Please understand that people were seen who are relatives of assassination victims who are children who have been harassed for decades since then by people who call themselves activists and investigators. So you might understand that a lot of that information, it's not suppressed, it's been erased because the news station is held responsible by the person by saying, you're the one distributing it, go ahead and find every copy of it on the internet and get rid of it because it's making my life a living hell. I would never, these days, I would never do an interview or, on the spot, what is your reaction to what you're seeing here with anybody? I would not want to because someone would single me out because they'd be bored and come after me. That's happened enough times. It's considered absolutely going to happen. So did I ever see anything back before that was related to, name anything, that you haven't been able to find any since? Since this can be interpreted multiple ways, I have done so. But as for 9/11, most of what we don't see as much anymore as we did is people speculating. There's literally an entire adult generation that's gone through living in a world post 9/11 that knows that you can just take a college class on metallurgy and find out that the 9/11 truthers were wrong, period. It's not a discussion. They were just wrong. Lots of people who went to college who learned about 9/11 and the buildings burning as information and knowledge that we've gained. They have that information they learn in college. If you take a class on how firefighting works, you learn about this. Only a complete contrarian, desperately attempting to get attention and not wanting to produce decent firefighters, would ever take a contrarian view about this. And there are a few. And that's something you won't find much anymore. People are not willing to basically throw their lives into the shredder to try to prove some point that is not based in fact as much anymore. So if anything, the thing I can't find anymore since then is as much liars. Next, is there any evidence of anything out of the ordinary? I can't see much anymore. There were news reports where people were speculating all over the place that you can't find as much because, again, it's under copyright and people don't want to be seen as being wrong and that sort of thing. Next, I'm going to emphasize that reports given out by congressional committees or whatever about any of these events, Martin Luther King Jr., John F. Kennedy, 9/11, are done by politicians who don't know what they're talking about. They are not experts. Yes, I know experts are cited, but the people who decide what it ends up being typed up as are a little bit politically motivated or a lot. So I don't use those as a basis for anything, but I do critique them. And what I find also, again, less of is people being willing to cite these original works. So I hope this was an answer to your question, even though I can't figure out exactly which question you were asking. And if I'm wrong completely on this, please tell me. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck.